Hello and welcome back to another popcorn chat. I hope you guys are doing well. In this video I'm going to be speaking to you about the latest release, Bullet Train. Now I don't know about you, but I was excited to see this film. It looked really interesting, lots of action, comedy. I was curious about the setting and the cast looked really good. So I was excited to check this one out and see what it was like. So the film follows Brad Pitt, who is an assassin, and he has to get onto this bullet train in Japan and complete this mission that he's been told through his earpiece. Then it turns into this action comedy film where they're trying to fight over this suitcase and a person, you know, in order so that they themselves won't be killed. Just to let you guys know, I will be talking about spoilers going ahead. I'll be honest, I didn't realise that this film was directed by David Leitch, who also directed Deadpool 2. And it's kind of clicked as soon as I started watching the film, from the sort of humour, some of the cast that appear in this film. I won't give anything away. It's very evident that the Deadpool 2 cast and also the Lost City cast have been combined in this film. So let's get into the positives. It's nice to see Brad Pitt in an outright comedic role. He does have comedic sort of elements in his previous roles. However, it was nice to see him do like a dedicated thing, you know, after the likes like Burn After Reading was probably the last sort of comedy role I can think of him doing. And he was obviously in Deadpool 2 for a very brief moment. So it was nice to see him doing something different, yet being quite authentic, so I quite liked that. Another great person in this cast was Aaron Taylor-Johnson, though I think he was doing a little bit too much in terms of the accent and the sort of very sort of cockney, geezer kind of vibe. I do think he was one of the better performers and characters within Bullet Train. So there were some cameos within this film, some I wasn't too keen on. However, I think the best one was definitely Channing Tatum. He had these small lines of dialogue, but I thought when he had those moments on screen, I thought they were very funny. Throughout the film, we see various different perspectives of the assassins. However, my favourite sort of angle of this film was actually the water bottle, which comes in quite late into the film. I really liked the way in which they sort of rigged it, and I thought it was actually quite funny. I liked how they did that and how that interconnected with everyone's plot and the relevance that it had in the story. So let's talk about the negatives, and I'll be honest, there's quite a few. As I said earlier, I didn't realise this was the Deadpool director until the film started playing, and then I could tell straight away in terms of the comedy, the violence, just waiting for the jokes, like really sort of having these long scenes waiting for these actors. Maybe they're improvising, I don't know. Come to think of it, one of my first reviews ever, I think it's on my personal channel, I'll link it down below, is of Deadpool 2, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it. I mean, Deadpool, the original film, is okay. The second one was not good, in my opinion, at all. So I think knowing that and knowing the style of David Leitch's, I think you could see it coming through. It wasn't my sort of humour at all. I think they got some really good action scenes in there. Some of the CGI was a little bit dodgy, but generally the tone of the film, maybe coming from the director's previous works, it didn't really land for me. A lot of the jokes didn't land. No. Whilst everyone else was laughing in the cinema, but not me. The film itself is limited to pretty much one location. There are those flashback scenes where we see those different assassins' perspectives. It feels like we're only going through so many carriages, like maybe 4 carriages through the different doorways. It just felt really repetitive, and for 2 hours it just felt way too long. So I liked when they broke away from the train. However, when they were on there, which it was a lot of the time, it became a little bit repetitive and stilted, and I could tell it was a studio. Whereas if you look at films like, I don't know, Train to Busan, they are able to do so much more with it, and you know, forcing people up the train because obviously there's like zombies, but I don't know, and it felt more real. This just felt very much like a studio project, so I think the limitation is a lot to do with it being on a train. There's definitely a star-studded cast in this film. However, they got them to do not their sort of native accents, and it really sort of drew me out. So we had Joey King doing an English accent / Russian accent. That was okay, but still not great. Brian Tyree Henry was doing a British accent trying to mimic what Aaron Taylor-Johnson was doing. I don't think it worked. It was really distracting for me. It kind of pulled me out. Considering how much he was in it, I think they could have just cast, someone who has a British accent. I think that would have been a lot better for that role, considering the big part that he has to play in this. Though I did like Aaron Taylor-Johnson's performance, I do think the accent was a little bit over the top. I think it was very much his, audition tape for a Guy Ritchie film. That's what it felt like, especially in terms of the editing and sort of the stylistic shots as well. There was definitely influences from Guy Ritchie there at moments, or Edgar Wright, those sort of comedic sort of whip pans and edits and things like that. But yeah, I think maybe Aaron Taylor-Johnson's accent was a little bit too much. Oh, and the references to Thomas the Tank Engine was way too much. And I didn't really get the analogy of it all. I think it was, it's like, oh, let's make British references. It was, no. And I think I heard Aaron Taylor-Johnson mention wagon wheel at some point. Oh God, it made me cringe so hard. So generally, I was a little bit disappointed by this film. I thought it'd be a fun time, fun sort of summer film. But even that, I couldn't really sort of find the enjoyment in a lot of it. The jokes didn't land for me personally, but I know a lot of people especially who would like things like Deadpool, would like this film. But it didn't land for me. But I know there is an audience for this film. But it just as a whole, it didn't work for me. So I'm going to give Bullet Train 2 out of 5 stars. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you've seen the film, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to check those out. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it kind of here nor there? Let me know down below, and maybe let me know what film you'd like to see me review next. Be it old, new. I'll check it out and see if I can do that for the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon for another popcorn chat.